All right, it is 9:30. If everyone is ready, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order, beginning with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to
to
the
flag,
United States
United
of America,
America, to the
one
republic,
nation, one nation,
One
nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
justice
for all. Sorry, I screwed that up.
Do we have to work together? We're trying to be a
Yeah,
musical team.
We gotta get on sync there, I guess, but it is what it is on Zoom.
Yes.
right.
Next will be the nomination and election of board chair and vice chair.
I'll make a motion to nominate Commissioner Burns as chair for 2021.
Second.
Are there any other nominations?
Yeah, you gotta ask that 3 times, Allison.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And are there any other nominations? If there's no further discussion, we can do roll call. District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
and District 5.
Yes.
Now for vice chair.
I nominate Greg Myrie to vice chair.
Second.
Three times.
Close nominations.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? And we will do roll call. District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Okay, congratulations. And I maybe should have turned it over to Bob right away, so sorry about that.
Well, fine. Moving forward,
Bob's the new chair.
approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll have roll call vote.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
and District 5.
Yes.
Regarding the.
Next item is the approval of the previous minutes. Do you want to do them both, the board meeting and the work group, or do you want to do them separate?
We usually do them separate.
All right. Then we'll have the approval of the previous minutes from the previous board meeting.
I don't have anything.
Excuse me, Bob.
Yeah.
Tess, can you? Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Yep, previous board meeting. What date is that?
December 22nd.
Well, from December 22nd then.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? The only thing I'll bring up is is this the one that had the, no, yeah, on the, in the discussion where we talked about the legislation from the state of Minnesota giving us that extra money for businesses and whatnot, I had talked about farmers, rental property owners, and business. And in that discussion, the way it shows on here, it says that I hope that the farmers could apply for funds as many had not received their rental income. I didn't mean farmers' rental income. I meant farmers in general and rental property owners. So it's just a little bit skewed as far as what I had meant.
You want that corrected, Bob? Yeah, that should, it should be corrected for the record.
For the
Yes.
record.
It sounded kind of, yeah, from what the information I just got, I agree it should be corrected.
Any other errors or corrections that anybody wants to mention?
I was going to just bring up, Bob, I looked it up after I reread everything, and that's under the work group minutes,
Yeah,
not the
think-
board meeting.
I think you're right.
Yep,
So
you're right. I apologize.
we'll just move it to the other correction under the work group when we get to that point.
Okay. So with regard to the board meeting, any corrections?
No.
Hearing none, we'll vote by roll for approval of the board minutes.
District 1,
Yes,
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
and District 5.
Yes.
We need to state that the motion passes.
Then approval of the previous minutes from the work group session. And that's the one that I was talking about as far as the farmer rental versus farmer rental property and business.
And that was just a opinion stated by you. It's not going to be fact. I mean, it's just was
Okay.
under, right.
That's it. That's it.
concerned.
I'll make a motion to approve with Bob's adjustments in the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. Hearing none, we'll have roll call.
District 1,
Yes,
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item of business is public comment. Do we have anybody? I see we have several on telephone. Does anybody want to make a public comment? 1071 or 7154? I don't know if they are able to turn on their,
1071 is me, Bob Markin.
okay,
I don't know the comment.
all right. I think 7154 was the newspaper from Fillmore. Hearing nothing, we'll move on. Next item of business is a COVID-19 update from Public Health. And to you, John.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Everybody hear me?
Yep.
Good deal. So today we're going to focus most of our conversation on our planning efforts around vaccines. And just to kind of preface those comments, we've had a number of constituents in Houston County contact us to find out when they're able to get their shots. And to be clear on that, there's been a lot of publicity around the fact that vaccines are now being made available, and it's great news. We really believe that vaccines are likely the path out of this. But while there's a lot of news about it, there isn't a lot of vaccine yet. It's kind of trickling in. And also, as the amount of vaccine that each county gets is really very little, the state of Minnesota has encouraged us to follow a prioritization plan. And so that's what we're doing. And the initial priority group is healthcare providers, long-term care residents, long-term care staff, and emergency medical services. So we're working on implementing that. The other thing I'll mention is that as it relates to vaccines, the county isn't the only player. Our primary care providers are big players in this, as are pharmacies, and so that's part of what we're putting together. I'm going to turn it over to Heather to kind of give you a little bit more detail on what our planning efforts have been so far as it relates to the vaccine effort going forward.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, as John said, we're working through the priority populations. Those are defined by ACIP, and which is a part of the CDC. So it's a federal guidance that we're following with that. He talked about phase 1A, which is healthcare personnel, long-term care residents, long-term care staff. In the state of Minnesota, one thing that our long-term care, facilities, for lack of a better word, were offered was something called the Pharmacy Partnership Program, or a PPP. So long-term care facilities could identify with a predetermined pharmacy or three predetermined pharmacies through the state level to acquire their vaccinations for their residents and staff. So that is something that we worked with our long-term care facilities to ensure they were connected with that program, to be sure they could get their vaccinations through that process. That alleviated a little bit of the what would have been some stress on our agency and on our staff if that would have fallen to us. The other piece of that, as we moved into that category with EMS, we're working very closely with our partners throughout the county, which, you know, we had great partnerships prior to COVID with some of these individuals that fall into this, or some of these groups with EMS. Certainly were strengthened through COVID. So we're really trying to reach out to them proactively and ensure they have access to that vaccine. Again, it's the Moderna vaccine that we have because of the ultra cold storage requirements of Pfizer. We don't have that particular one that we can house and store within our resources in Houston County. And then as we continue to move through the phases, 1B, adults over age 75, frontline essential workers, and 1C, as we continue to move towards the general population. The one thing with everything with COVID vaccine is that the rollout of vaccine, of course, started the week of Christmas. So when we look at adding a holiday in there, and then the following week with the New Year's holiday, some of the initial vaccine shipments were impacted with weather throughout the country in different areas. So until we start to, we really don't know what our, how often we're going to be receiving vaccine. MDH, the process initially is they're reaching out to local public health and say, we have this vaccine, are you able to accept it? And then, we have to, confirm that we can, and then they ship it. So we do get notified that that's coming, but we haven't been notified on what sort of, how often that's going to be occurring. So we don't really know yet when we can expect to get more vaccine on a rolling basis. My hope is that as we get into January farther, we develop more of a pattern and develop more of a schedule, so we have a better idea of what that's going to be. Our hope also, we have 5 nurses in our department, so we're trying to kind of spread that burden as much as we can. And our hope is to also utilized volunteers who would be licensed individuals that would be a part of their profession at some point, would have been to provide vaccinations and have the skills and training to do so. And then they would also complete the training that's required on the MDH side related to the COVID vaccine. I'll stop there in case there's questions, or John, in case you want to add anything.
Commissioner Walter?
Have we given out any vaccinations to EMS personnel yet? Because
Yes.
I did get a notification from my Joint Powers Board that within 2 weeks, each public health would get it, and then they give it to whoever gives out the dosage. Is that correct?
Yes, we have started with that phase 1A. Like I said, the healthcare personnel typically, because the majority of our healthcare personnel works in La Crosse, they would be through their employer is where they would get that. If they're a resident of Houston County but work at a healthcare facility in another state, they would work through their employer to get that. So we have been and are working through our EMS and EMSRB certified responders in all of our communities. And I I do feel that this may be a benefit, if there is a benefit to being a smaller county, that this may be a benefit that we can really reach out to our partners very quickly. And hopefully we can continue to receive the vaccine on a rolling enough basis that we're able to cover those EMS that fit into that first category.
So
But yes, we have given them.
So does doses of vaccinations come to public health first, and then you give them to the next people on the tier? Or
We receive
you?
We receive vaccine, but for instance, we don't get all the vaccine that goes to primary care providers. That doesn't come first to us.
Okay.
So the vaccine we're getting is what we're using with EMS personnel right now.
Okay.
And as Heather's mentioned, it's hard to predict how, what that flow of vaccine is going to be in coming days and weeks. Right now, there's very little. And so we've scheduled the EMS providers in our county, and we're hoping we have enough vaccine for that, but we anticipate getting more. We just don't know when. The other thing I'd note is that, the majority of our healthcare providers are out of the state and all are outside of the county. Some of them have presence in Houston County through clinics, and so we're working with those partners as well. And, we've been saying for some time, this is a story that is evolving as we're speaking. But the plans are coming together a little more clearly. We're excited to be actually providing vaccines. We've started doing that last week, and we are doing it again this week. The state of Minnesota projects that it'll be probably through much of the month of January before we're all through that 1A group. And so we're also working on messaging and how we can communicate with local residents as to the best way for them to access vaccine. I know I've spoken with a number of folks already, and what I would encourage is if people aren't part of a priority group in this 1A group, I'd encourage them to, they can certainly call us, but also call their healthcare provider to get a sense of when vaccine would be available to them.
One more question. Has everybody in public health received the vaccination?
Everybody has not received it, but those who are giving the shot,
Okay.
who are vaccinations are, and also volunteers that we're anticipating to work with are receiving it as well. I'll also note that it's a 2-shot deal, and so several weeks after receiving the first shot, you need to receive a second shot, so we're coordinating that as well. It's really important that if you get that first shot, you need to make sure you get the second shot. Especially since vaccine is very short supply right now, we want to make sure that everybody that we are vaccinating is also scheduled for that second shot.
Okay.
John, you mentioned coordinating. Do the clinics within the county, the pharmacies within the county, are they all in contact with you as far as coordinating?
Yes.
The dosages and whatnot?
Yeah. We are in contact with those partners regularly. And each of those partners have different nuances. I think our position being a border county and having healthcare that is provided out of state, but having clinics from those organizations in our county adds complexity. And so we're navigating that and trying to figure that out, and so that we're prepared to provide vaccine for folks in Houston County when we have that volume of vaccine available.
And to that note, the clinics in Houston County, even if they are affiliated with a healthcare system in another state, they can apply to be a vaccine provider. So we've encouraged those clinics to do that. So then their vaccine shipment would come directly from MDH. It wouldn't be affiliated within their healthcare system because the vaccine itself cannot be transferred across state lines.
Oh, wow.
Federal guidance, not,
So how many vaccinations have we done in Houston County, or don't we know?
You know, Teresa, that's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. We started last week. I should have checked on that number. I want to say we're maybe getting close to 50, maybe pushing between 40 and 50. You know, we have some scheduled this week too, so I think we'll easily surpass that estimate in the next day.
So our commissioners at the top tier?
I wish
I don't know, maybe.
I think that should go to the ones who are in most need of it, like the senior citizens and
Oh, yes.
By all
Yes.
means.
Teachers.
Teachers, yes.
Teachers are in the next group. And so the state of Minnesota has these tiers. The first that Heather has mentioned is Group 1A, then there's Group 1B, 1C, then you go to 2 and 3. And as you grow, each of those groups have significantly more people in them. And so it's not just getting done with the first group, it's also having the available vaccine to move to those larger population groups. What I can assure the county board and our residents in Houston County is we will do everything in our power to make sure that Houston County residents have access to vaccine in as efficient and effective way possible. But it's within the context of, you know, when shipments are happening and the guidance and direction that we receive from the Minnesota Department of Health and the Centers for Disease Control. So we've definitely had contact from people in the community who they have underlying conditions and they're justifiably concerned and want to know when they'd be able to arrange for a vaccine. And you know, essentially what we're saying right now is as we get more information about when we're going to be moving to those other priority populations, we'll be doing everything we can to get that information out. But again, we're not the only player. And so we really urge people to also reach out to their healthcare providers.
But they could call you to find out what tier they're in.
They can, but that is also still being determined. We're hoping this week to have a better sense of what 1B is going to look like. The state of Minnesota is still hammering out some of those details. And, you know, as we have information, we're going to do everything we can to get it out there. But it's frustrating, I think, to people because a lot of the questions you can guess that people would have, we don't have a clear answer yet, especially since they're not part of that initial 1A group.
Thank you.
I have a question as to numbers, the vaccine that's allotted to the county plus what might be allotted to each of these clinics. Would that be the total that's available? Is that an accurate statement?
Go ahead, John.
Go. I'll let you do that.
I think that's a good question. I am not sure. I don't have the answer to if a clinic has been identified as they registered to be a vaccine provider. What we saw initial rollout was MDH is really striving to be equitable across the state. So equitable across Southeast Minnesota and shipping vaccine doses the same going to each county in these initial rollouts of deliveries so we can try to reach our people. That's where it might be to our benefit to be smaller because hopefully between the first couple of I would say shipments would cover our 1A that we have to provide for, but in a bigger county, they may not. So MDH has also told us to be aware of the possibility of having to redistribute vaccine throughout the state to different areas if they need to cover their 1A population before moving on to 1B. So again, I hopefully we'll have more information moving forward to answer that. But, right now at a county local public health level, what we are seeing is equitable shipments across across county public healths. How they're shipping to clinics, I'm not sure how they're determining that information.
Be aware too that there's 2 vaccines, and so some healthcare providers are receiving the Pfizer vaccine because they have the available ultra cold storage, and I'm not sure how many of those doses are out there. And again, the complexity of us being having all of our primary healthcare outside of the county, it's hard to totally get a read on that. But I'd agree with Heather that these initial shipments of Moderna vaccine are pretty equitable across counties.
Good.
Does that answer the question?
Pretty much, it's just individual that would be probably a tier or two down. It's a person over 80. It is not in a nursing home. They're home people, so I think they go further down on the list. Is what I'm kind of hearing so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the over 75 population will be part of the next group that we're looking at. But since there's very little vaccine available, that 1A group is very small. It's just your healthcare providers, your long-term care residents and staff, and then EMS providers.
Okay.
Does our healthcare providers contact us when it's our turn to get our shots, or how do we find that out?
That's what we were talking about earlier, and I wish I had a clear answer for that. I would encourage residents in Houston County to either reach out to us, or probably where I would start is with your healthcare provider, because I think the majority of people, we got 19,000 people who live in Houston County, and we have 5 public health nurses. So obviously we're not going to be doing the lion's share of that larger population. A lot of that's going to be done by healthcare providers. And so I encourage residents to reach out first to their primary care provider. And if they have other questions or wondering other things, they're more than welcome to reach out to us as well. As we get into larger groups, I would assume that we'll probably see a growing role with pharmacies as well.
That's what I was going to ask, if the Walmarts and the Shopkos and all these pharmaceuticals will eventually, once we get enough doses, could do some of this.
I think what we'll see is right now, there's high demand for vaccine and low supply, because we're just getting the shipments and the supply lines put together. But we'll get to a point where we have a lot of vaccine, and there'll be a lot of people that have it, and multiple places that people can access it. I think then our messaging shifts not to one of saying, hey, there's just this really specific group of people who are eligible right now. Our messaging will need to shift to as many people who can get it should get it, because we need to have a high enough percentage of our population that are vaccinated for us to establish herd immunity. So it's kind of an evolving story, and that's challenging from a messaging perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
No, thank you. I appreciate all the information you've been sending us, keeping us informed. That helps.
I have one other thing I want to mention. I was struck over the weekend. I was reading some news articles about just the field of public health across the nation, and how many professionals in public health are leaving the field during the midst of this pandemic crisis. And a lot of things that are cited is, just how very difficult this process has been. And I think a lot of them are experiencing environments where there's not the support they need to be able to properly do their job. And I'll be the first to say that the pandemic crisis and what it's meant to us in public health has been one of the most challenging things I've faced in my career. But I am so grateful for two things. I'm grateful for the staff that we have, because they have at every turn stepped up to the plate and done just an outstanding job, gone above and beyond. They're rock stars. But I'm also so grateful for the work that you guys are doing. Your support of public health and what we're doing on behalf of the people of Houston County has never wavered. And that makes our work possible. And I just want to take a moment here at the beginning of 2021 in hopes that we have a better year in 21, but also to thank you for your work and your support of us. It can't be overstated.
Well, thank you, John.
Yep. Thanks for everything you do for us.
On that note, John, with the frustration that some are seeing or having, is it safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but would that be coming from the top, not necessarily in the field, such as direction on the steps and stuff like that? And you don't have to pinpoint anybody, but I guess I'm just reading between the lines. That's all.
I think that public health is a uniquely local thing.
Yep.
And in many states, it's uniquely local, and it's definitely a uniquely local thing at a county level in Minnesota as well. But I think in the midst of a pandemic, our story across the nation, state to state, hasn't been a consistent one. And I don't know if that's what you're getting at. I think that has hampered our overall effort. But since it's such a uniquely local effort, you see, and not having a kind of a consistent message across state to state, there's a huge impact that local leaders like yourselves can have on how we're doing this work in our county. And that's what I wanted to highlight is you guys have stepped to the forefront. You have you've passed resolutions of support, you've written letters to the editor, you have at every turn supported the work that we're doing, and we've made a commitment from the very beginning that we're going to base our work on proven science and on vetted information so that we're giving the best information that's currently available. But it's a team game, and you guys are really an important part of that. And you've been kind to us at almost every meeting, thanking us for our efforts and everything. And it's about time that we turn around and say thank you, because without your leadership and your support of us, this work goes from very difficult to almost impossible.
Well, I think it's safe to say that that'll always continue, but if we need to change some of what we're doing and you think we need to change, please feel free to bring that up, so because we want to do what's right too.
We definitely will, and I wanted to just thank you and tell you how much I appreciate our working relationship and the ability to come forward. And there's been more than a few times we've had to shift gears and so again, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
You too.
No other questions, we'll move on. Item of business is 9:45, open the sealed bids for the official newspaper for 2021. I miss you, Donna, with the information.
Donna?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have the bids here. Polly, my deputy auditor, will open the bids. She will read the bids, announce them out loud, and I will record them on my sheets, okay? So I'll turn the headset over to Polly so she can hear her better.
Okay, good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So again, I will be announcing the bids for the 2021 official newspaper, and Donna will be recording. We did have 2 bids submitted, the Caledonia Argus and the Fillmore County Journal. Each of those have 4 different categories included in their bid. We'll do Fillmore County Journal first. And okay, it looks like the bid for the official newspaper, which would include official proceedings of the board and all notices required to be published, would come in at $2 per inch. For miscellaneous notices, the legal rate per column inch is $2, and the display rate for miscellaneous notices is $2 per column inch as well. The printing of the 2020 financial statements is $2 per inch. The publication of sample ballot information is $2 per inch. The publication of tax forfeiture information, $2 per inch. Okay, I'm just reading.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Publication of delinquent tax lists is $2 per inch. Okay, and again, that was Fillmore County Journal.
No, they made that as simple.
Yeah. Ditto marks.
There you go. So, Caledonia Argus. All right, we have, let's see, the charge per inch for the official newspaper for 2021, which would include official proceedings and all notices required, is $9 per inch. Miscellaneous notices, which are not required to be published, the legal rate is $8.20 per column inch. The display rate is at $8.20 per column inch. The printing of the 2020 financial statements is $8.20 per inch. The publication of sample ballot information is $8.20 per inch. Publication of tax forfeiture information, $8.20 per inch. And the publication of delinquent tax list, $8.20 per inch. And again, that was from the Caledonia Argus. Okay, that should do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. So, many of you heard the totals, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So it looks like the Fillmore County Journal is the winner.
How many people does the Fillmore County Journal reach in Houston County?
Well,
I know if the Fillmore County Journal comes to all Houston addresses. There also is the Bluff Country News, I believe, and I don't know how much that covers.
We're not Houston City.
Is that Charlene on from the Fillmore County Journal?
I have a yeah.
Surprised me.
Can I just start 2021?
Yeah.
There is a publication audit report here that was included. Take my mask off.
Donna, not just me. Oh, Aaron, can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry about that, Commissioners.
Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, there is a publication audit report included in the Fillmore County Journal bid, and it does say the estimated edition readership is 17,853. The total digital contacts is 24,523, and the total estimated gross contacts is 42,376.
So that must be Fillmore County readership.
Right. Now let's see the Argus here.
Not the Houston County readership.
Well, maybe we should be asking the Fillmore County rep what.
Yeah, and I think is Charlene on? She was on.
Yes.
I am on.
Okay, there's Charlene. Go ahead, Charlene.
I'm the reporter, so you're kind of getting me at a loss here. What I know about the Fillmore County Journal in terms of the readership is that it is distributed to everybody in Fillmore County and Houston County and a few in Winnebago County.
We don't get it in La Crescent or any of my townships, I know, or the city.
I was just looking at the map the other day. I would have to double check on that. So, the map looked like it included La Crescent, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't get too tied up in all of that, unfortunately or fortunately.
Can you get Jason on the phone?
I can I can mute you guys and give him a call. I'm not sure where he's at. I'm in Hesper. I'm not up in Preston.
Okay.
And but I can touch base with him. Absolutely.
I did work with all my townships and part of the city of La Crescent that I am over, but we all work with the Argus very closely for all of our public notices. And I know we get the Argus in our districts and townships, but none of us get the Fillmore paper. But I'm in the south, the northeast corner of the county, of course, but none of us get it. I know that, unless you personally subscribe to it.
Can I bring to the board's attention, do you have to take the lowest bid? Is that a requirement that you award it to the lowest bidder?
No, it is not.
No. Okay. I'd like to call to the board's attention. There's a Minnesota state statute. I don't know if you guys received it. I sent it to Allison and Donna, I think. It's chapter 331A.04. It has a designation priority for official newspaper publications. The subdivision 2 is a known office in the locality. If there are one or more qualified newspapers, the known office of issue of which are located within the political subdivision, one of them shall be designated. Automatically, that would mean, as I understand it, the Caledonia Argus. And our rates that we put in the bid are the same as the joint bid from last year, so we didn't raise any prices on you. We're not trying to do anything. We are your local paper. We cover the county. We've covered you guys for years, and we plan on doing so. And we can reach enough of our readers with our subscribers, our shopper, which automatically includes the legal notice section, and our newsstand sales plus online. So just wanted to point that out.
That in that statute about office, does that mean the head office or just any office? Because your paper is owned by ECM, or what is it?
They're technically owned by ECM and Adams Publishing Group. I guess you could consider their head office is in Coon Rapids, but subdivision 3 says secondary office in the locality. And then technically, that could be us too.
Okay.
We went through this a couple years ago when Houston County newspaper from La Crescent did not have any office in the county. And that's one reason we could not accept them. Even though the head office is in La Crosse, they did. In fact, they even talked about maybe we could put it in somebody's basement and then bid on it. That was so I think you have to have a office in the county.
Right, and we're right across the street from you guys.
It's Carol. I'm looking at the minutes from when we had the discussion with the Houston County News, and if a newspaper, that 331A.04, if they don't have an office in the county, it sounds like they have to reach not fewer than 75% of the households. And I think in the Houston County, or in the Fillmore County Journal, they do list the households that they send to. So we probably should check on that to make sure that they're reaching 75% of our households.
Yeah, that'd be some information we need to have before we can make a decision.
Totally agree.
I think we ought to table this for another time.
The other question I've had, what's the big difference in inches here? I mean, $2 to $9,
that's huge.
Huge.
We were not aware that they would bid that low. That is our typical rate for legal inches. It's what we charge all our townships, our cities, our school districts. There's a difference in column width. Their columns, because they are a tab publication, they're a little bit wider than ours because we're broadsheet, so ours are a little bit narrower. That's part of the difference, especially when we do the joint bid, is there's like a cost thing. I know we worked with Donna and I think a few other county people when we first started that joint bid to figure out what each paper should be charging according to their column inches.
I think we should table this until we could do it next week at our our workshop. We could have a regular meeting in front of it, and we could have Donna look into the circulation rates and stuff.
I can do that, commissioners.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Agree.
By consensus, we'll table this until the next meeting.
And next week is a regular meeting, not a workshop meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it?
No, it's a workshop.
It's a workshop. I didn't think our regular meeting was until the end of January.
No,
This is our regular meeting for the first of the month here.
Yep.
That was on the calendar, but you guys can change it. This is the meeting where you guys can change that calendar if you'd like.
Oh, I just went by my other calendar where it said I had land use and then the regular meeting for next week. 2nd and 4th is what I had written down, but you know me.
Well, like I said, we could do this at next week's workshop in front of as a regular session.
Okay.
Could we not? If we have our information?
Yes, we can.
If Donna can get the information to us before, that'd be great. So I think we should.
I can do that, commissioners.
Okay.
Teresa is correct. Typically, it's the 2nd and 4th for the full board.
Yeah. Right, but it got switched around because of this year.
And I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, we'll put this off. We'll table it until next week's meeting. We'll have a regular meeting prior to the work group and advertise it accordingly. Everybody in consensus with that?
Yep.
Okay, Greg?
Yep, sounds good.
Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at that in their packet. Anything to discuss? Any issues with it?
We now have to eliminate number 7.
Yep.
But
on those resolutions, all those resolutions, I don't have a problem with it, but shouldn't they be in action items, or I'm just asking?
They can be part of the consent, I think, if you.
Well, there's only 2 questions I have for resolution 2106 and 2107. And that's the resolutions and who signs the checks.
Oh.
And is it required that there needs to be 3 people? I'm just asking. I don't know to sign. Before it used to be the administrator, the chairperson, and Donna, I believe, right?
Yes, that's correct. I did call the bank on that, and they said that they really don't monitor that. Whatever, as long as there's 1 signature on there, we can choose 2 or 3, however many we want. That's what he told me. I asked Steve about it yesterday. Engelwalson from Bank of the West. So he did inform me that it's up to the county if they want 2 or 3 signatures, as long as there's 1 signature on the check.
What about Eitzen State Bank?
They're pretty particular. They want 2 signatures, and they won't allow anything to go through unless there's 2 signatures, whether it's a withdrawal online or not online, but like as requested by email. They do require 2 signatures, and that is, I believe, what we have. Correct? 2 signatures. Yeah, right now they do require 2 signatures, and that's a good thing because there's often times where I have to withdraw money from the money markets, transfer money here, transfer money there, and it does require another person's acceptance for that to happen.
The physical signature stamp.
I think it comes back to the fact that we, when the auditor and treasurer were separate offices, the auditor signed, the treasurer signed, and because it's commissioner's warrants, there's a commissioner's signature.
Yeah.
So if we have auditor's warrants, there isn't a commissioner's signature. So, you know, it's just kind of keeping with our fraud prevention. We are required, you know, to make sure that it's not to say that someone in the county would do it. It's if they could do it.
Right.
You know, so it's just kind of following along the path. When the auditor's and treasurer's office was combined, then Donna and I had the discussion whether finance director or administrator would be the other signer. And since we had the administrator, Jeff was indicated, and now since we do not have the the administrator, in order to maintain our checks and balances, it would, you know, most likely be the finance director that signs along with the auditor treasurer.
So our chairman's got to be on there, correct?
Right, because it's a commissioner's warrant.
And then Donna, and then how about yourself? That would be 3 people.
Right.
That's what the resolution says right now.
Okay.
I just question, and I'm just thinking about this out loud, but is it a good policy to have somebody in finance to have an authorized signature? Just a question. I don't know who that'd be directed to, but.
Right, because I mean, the finance office would be, because in lieu of having a separate auditor and treasurer's office, the finance office is the monitor. And I don't actually process transactions like other people do in the auditor treasurer's office.
Okay.
So it does provide that balance.
All right. I just know that in this kind of a situation, you know, from stuff I've read and things, and in my wife works in the banking world, that you don't trust anyone, not even if you trust them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason why I bring it up.
Right, and that's why I say, you know, it is our responsibility to, not that we think someone is going to commit fraud, but could they?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's what we have to keep in mind.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Prevention, fraud prevention, no matter what. Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about 3 signatures.
Yeah.
On Bank of the West, there'd be 3. Correct, Carol? I mean, that's what we've got. That's 3 set up now.
Right, and then for Eitzen,
there'd just be 2 of us.
2, yeah.
And we don't,
because we don't actually print. We don't print normal checks through there. The checks that go through Eitzen are typically Donna moving money around.
Right.
Which that makes the most sense to have somebody not in the auditor's treasurer's office co-signing.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But just so I understand it. So at Bank of the West, it's 3 signatures. It'd be Donna, Carol, and the chairman?
Board chairman.
Correct.
And is that a physical signature or a stamp signature?
You can do a stamp, from what I understand.
A stamp. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What is the point of that? If the person is being stamped, they're not actually.
Well, here's the deal, Bob. What happens, and this is what happened with me when I was chairman, that usually Donna or somebody would get a hold of you requesting if it's okay to get your authorization to use your stamp, correct?
Mm-hmm. Except on normal, like, checks. To be honest with you, we don't, you know, I mean.
Well, right. I'm talking about,
normal.
Right. Like, right.
We could have you come in and sign them.
Right.
Just, what's the purpose of having the 3rd check or the 3rd signature if it's a stamp? I mean, what the hell?
Well, Bob, that's your call. If you want, you live up there, you could run in every day and sign checks.
Let's see that we're going to stay so that the next chairman's going to run it.
Well, then there'll have to be a new resolution for next time. So.
All right.
Just a quick note that if we're looking at fraud prevention, I think that question that Bob brought up is a good one. Then the person who is one of the signatories shouldn't have, maybe you should consider another party having the signature stamp rather than that being within the office of one of the two signatories.
Actually, in the past, Julie, my deputy, has stamped the signature of the administrator and myself, and then it's gone upstairs to the finance office where Lynn Kelch is, and she would, or previously Nancy, and she would stamp the other stamp on. So that is correct, Tess. We did have a kind of a separation there where Nancy would put the stamp on, and then Julie would put the stamp of myself and the audit or the administrator on it. So that's probably a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's just because the purpose of the signature is to say you're approving it. Somebody that assuming that the person whose stamp that it belongs to should have reviewed the transaction prior to their stamp being applied at some level of review, whether that is just a very cursory review or a more detailed, depending upon the situation. That's my only point about using stamps.
Yep, we can go back to that procedure, no doubt. That's what we'll do. If it's okay with you, Bob.
Or we could have the chairman stamp the checks himself.
If he's not always around, it's not as convenient. I would probably highly recommend maybe Lynn keeping Bob's stamp and then Julie using Carol's and my stamp together. We'll have a combination stamp.
That sounds fine. That sounds fine to me.
Yeah, should work.
That would work.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion regarding the consent agenda? I guess the only question I had was on number 5, the minimum salary for officials elected. What if we've set the salaries? Why do we have to have a minimum salary set?
That was set a while ago. Remember that, Carol? It's been going on for maybe 3 years now?
Oh, it's actually been longer than that. We're required each year to set minimum salaries in case there's an election. So like say mid-year, we have to have an election for someone. You could actually set their salary at that minimum amount.
Yep.
So this is actually a requirement by law.
Right.
Yeah. I understand now. Okay.
So the next auditor treasurer, whoever that may be, we can't do it to Donna, but we could just pay him $5,000. Call it good. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, that's not for this year. That's
I know,
couple years out yet. So, but it is a requirement that a minimum salary be set. And it has happened in counties where it's been more just a figurehead office or person. So yeah, they have paid them just the minimum amount.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while. That was being done before I even got on. So
it's been done the entire time I've been working here. So it's yeah.
Understood. Thank you. Further discussion, or should we call the question?
Call the question.
How about question 10 there about environmental services of our guy resigning?
It's not part of.
that's the last part of the consent agenda, is to accept his resignation and thank him for his service.
Yep.
Okay, I was just looking.
According to this, we'll get a replacement will be brought forward later.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve this consent agenda.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
The motion passes.
I would like to say thank you to Gary Mossman for the service that he provided out at the site. He did a good job in helping people with their project, with the things they needed done. Moving on to action items. First one is the consideration of the appointment to the Board of Adjustment. It says 2 openings, but from the way I look at it, there's 3.
Yes.
Because Ken Anderson and Larry Hafner are applying to be reinstated as their positions terminated at the end of December, and then we had 1 member that resigned, and that's an open seat, so there's really 3 seats to fill.
Yep.
And we have 3 applicants.
Correct.
So I would make a motion to appoint the 3 applicants to the 3 openings, not 2 openings.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yep.
Motion passes.
Action item number 2, consideration of the appointment of planning commission members. 2 openings for 3-year terms, that being Ed Hamel and Larry Hafner have applied.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of 2 openings of Ed Hamel and Larry Hafner.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next item is the approval of guardianship contracts for human services for John Miller, Ann Yankee, Greg Yackel, and Frederick Guardianship Services.
Hello again, Commissioners. Just briefly on this, typically we put these kinds of contracts on consent, but with a new commissioner, I thought it might be worthwhile to just kind of walk through what this is.
That was my question.
So, the county is responsible for providing guardianship services for adults who are deemed incompetent. In order to be deemed incompetent, we can't just say John Doe is incompetent. There needs to be a doctor's opinion, and then it goes through a court proceeding. Those people, they're typically or frequently there's family members who act as guardian or managing the individual's affairs. But in some cases, there aren't people to provide those services. There aren't family or friends aren't available, and the individual is eligible for medical assistance. And those are the ones that then we are responsible to make sure that they have somebody who's acting as a guardian on their behalf. We have typically used a variety of different individuals, and that's what these guardianship contracts are. It pays $120 a month for the guardian, and that covers a variety of things in managing individuals' affairs. Typically, the individual pays a portion of that and the county pays the rest. However, an individual doesn't ever pay more than $100 of that $120 monthly fee for guardianship. So that's what this is. It's a subset of people who are in need of guardianship, being those that don't have either family members or friends that are not available, and they are income eligible to need this service from the county. So you'll see the guardianship contracts this year. We're going to have a bunch of them because they typically are a 2-year thing. but then sometimes we need to find a guardian for somebody, and we can't fit that into one of the contracts we have. So it's not uncommon to have guardianship contracts that show up on the agenda. And as I mentioned, typically that's been a consent agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I do have one, John.
Yeah.
When I read the contract, or on the page it says purchase of service agreement, which in my case is page 1 of that.
Just a second, let me get there. Which one are you looking at?
They all have the same thing.
Right, they're all the same.
All the same. Purchase of service agreement under witnesseth. That paragraph, when you go down the line, and it says, where it says an inability to meet personal need for medical care, nutrition, clothing, shelter, or safety, or concerning the appointment, concerning the person's estate. How come it says concerning the appointment? Seems to me a duplication. Why does it say that?
I just want to make sure I have the right spot here.
Page 1 of purchase of service agreement.
And it is okay.
The 6th line under witnesseth.
I don't know if that's a typo or what.
Just seemed like a redundancy.
It does, doesn't it?
I didn't know if there was a purpose to it or not.
They
all 3 do it, so.
Okay. I'll get an answer for you on that. If it's a typographical error, we'll make that correction. We work with contracting service out of Olmsted County, and they make sure that our legal citations and all of the references are up to date. And so I'll bring that up, and you know, there may be a legal reason that it's stated that way.
Okay. It just seemed odd. Okay, that's all. The only question I had. Anybody else?
No.
Dewey, did you have a question?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Action item number 4, consideration of approval of the Houston County Collaborative Governance Agreement. John?
All right. Houston County has had a collaborative in place for a good number of years. This has a history that goes way back to the early 90s. The early 90s. And essentially, the legislature encouraged local government entities and nonprofit organizations and school districts to work collaboratively together, and they incentivized them by providing resources to work on together. So that was the dawn of family service collaboratives and children's mental health collaboratives across the state. Houston County has a history that goes back at least to the mid to late 90s in having that. Part of what the collaborative provides is access to what's known as local collaborative time study revenue. Through the collaborative, we randomly sample school district employees, corrections employees, and public health employees, and that generates reimbursement from medical assistance and Title IV adoption and foster care. And that money comes back to the collaborative then to be allocated for services for children and family. So over time, there's been changes in legislation, changes in requirements and things, and the collaborative needed to update their interagency agreement to be consistent with current legislation and the like. I serve on this collaborative, as does Commissioner Burns, and we have representation from school districts, mental health entity, and others. So this is the final product. We worked with the state of Minnesota to make sure that we had all of the required elements, and we worked very closely with our collaborative partners to make sure that it was an agreement that they were willing to sign on to. The document has gone to all of those partners and has been signed. The county is the last signature on the document. In this situation, the county Public Health and Human Services also acts as the fiscal agent for the collaborative. We have a separate fund for the collaborative, so we don't intermingle any county dollars with that, but we manage the collaborative's resources, both the receipt of revenue and the disbursement of payment. The other thing I'd mention is I've had experience with collaboratives in past life. Actually, prior to my involvement in county government, I was the executive director of a collaborative in northern Minnesota. And you know, through this agreement, it isn't just access to certain revenue streams, it's also an opportunity to bring those partners together and think through how they are doing their work together. Oftentimes there are parallel efforts between school districts, between school districts and county government and nonprofit organizations. And if we work together, we get a better outcome for the people of Houston County and a more efficient outcome. So that's the underlying desire with this type of work. And that's what the agreement is intended to support. I know Commissioner Walter also was a long-term member on the collaborative, so either you or Commissioner Burns may have some other things that you'd like to add.
No, I think it's a very good organization. They got a good set of bylaws. They really only meet twice a year as a collaborative, but they do keep on top of the funding for it, which has been cut over the years.
Yep. We've actually met a little more than twice a year. I mean, to get this put together, we met more regularly.
Yeah, okay. We did. And we've also met more regularly because we've taken on an additional project right. That's outside of the collaborative funding related to equity types of programming across the different agencies in Houston County. And so I'm really excited about that. We'll probably have some information that we'll bring to the board here in a meeting probably later this month, but excited about that work in an interagency environment looking at equity across the county.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote by roll.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
And District 5?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Action item number 5 is the consideration of approval of the abatements for Davison Properties LLC in Holka and Barton Heights, Caledonia, Minnesota. I believe we have that information in our packet.
Yep.
Do we have the amounts?
Yes, we do. For the Davison property, the amount $346. And for the Heinz property is $6,948. I understood the Davison one with regard to the property taxes should have included the $58,500 in the ag homestead and homestead referral. So it was incorrect in should have been valued in full. That's why he gets it. On the Heinz property, there's numerous parcels of property involved with that.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused as to how that came about. I don't have an answer.
That was the one too that kind of confused me.
I can explain that Heinz one a little bit. There's more than one parcel, and there's more than one owner for the parcels. And some are homestead and some are not. Some of these parcels, an owner might only own 16%, and some of the parcels, like there's 66% ownership, there's 33% ownership, there's 16% ownership. Each one had to go through individually and be calculated, and it was a long process that we had to make sure we were right. It wasn't a normal, easy one. So that one we did go through. He has another one for 19 that has been approved because it's the same type of thing. It's just the homestead percentages are different on all of the parcels, so you have to go through them all individually. And the Davison one, is an LLC, and LLCs cannot get homestead unless they register with the Department of Agriculture. On our list of the Department of Agriculture that we got last spring, his name was not on it. When Mr. Davison contacted me and we discussed it, he said he had done everything to qualify. And once we contacted Department of Ag, they looked at their records and they did put his name on the list. They updated it. At that point, then I could grant him a homestead. So that's why that one is what it is.
So his name was on the list?
It's not on the original list. I have a copy of the original list, and I have a copy of the new list. And
Was that an expired list or?
No, it was the April 2020 list, the brand new list from them. It was.
I believe he was the one that was at the Truth and Taxation meeting.
It was the state's error for not having him on the list.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how long have this Barton Hines situation, how long have you been working on that?
Oh, many months. This thing took, you almost have to shut your door and not have anybody talk to you for a day or two to get through.
So my question with regard to the Heinz one, there's multiple property owners, and on those multiple properties, there's homestead. But Barton Heinz can't homestead all of these properties. How come he's getting all the benefit?
Correct.
Barton Hines in Cross County, I believe he lives in Fillmore. He can, because you can go up to 4 townships away. He's got 2 siblings that do not qualify.
But if this is for homestead,
yeah,
there's different people living on these properties, and it's not him. Why would people that live there get the homestead instead of him?
You can have extended agricultural homestead up to 4 townships. Like, well, you probably don't have all your parcels where you live. Don't you have parcels other places? Or maybe you do.
Not me.
Eric, a farmer doesn't have all of their parcels connecting all the time. They can have them in different townships, but they farm them all. So then they can get within 4 townships, they can get the homestead extended.
No, she's right on that.
There's not people living on these parcels. They're all parcels that
No, Barton lives on them, so
he doesn't live on all of them. But
no, but it's if you want to say, Bob, it's a loophole, and people can take advantage of it.
Yeah. But you combine these properties to get the homestead credit on all of them.
There's only one house on probably all of his properties. That's from what I know.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter on.
The fact that she put in, she had to maintain records for each of those owners, and the owners who don't live there there isn't homestead calculated on those. There's only
Correct.
homestead calculated on Barton's portion
Yep.
of those parcels that have split owners or more than one owner. And originally, he wasn't given homestead. That's why there's the change.
Right.
Is that close, Cindy?
Yes, it is. And there is one other twist in it too. Each one of these parcels that he does not live on, but he owns, has to stand as a farm alone. It has to qualify as a farm. It can't be 40 acres of woods sitting out in the middle of nowhere. So we have to look at each one of those individually, make sure it qualifies, make sure we know how much of it qualifies, and then enter that into the system. So it does take a while, and it is pretty confusing if you don't stay with it.
And I think there's two sisters involved too, so that makes it a little different.
I'm sorry, what was that, Greg?
I think there's two sisters that are involved in this too.
Correct.
They have some parcels in there, I know.
Right, and that's where the split had to be, yeah.
So in the case of the split, he gets homestead on his percentage of ownership. Does the people that might be living on the farm get homestead on their percentage of the ownership as well?
It's a good question.
Okay, here, I'm not sure I understand.
If he owns 50% of this farm parcel,
Okay, let's say he does.
living on the farm, he gets 50% homestead because it's part of his farm operation. Do the people that are living there get 50% on the other half, on the other part? Get homestead on the other 50%?
Sure, we have many people that have multiple, or many parcels with multiple owners. If there's 3 owners and they all have homestead, but they own property together, they all get their percent homestead up to that 1.890 million.
Yep.
I understand now.
And you can go beyond 4 townships, correct?
You can go up to 4 townships.
Yep. Right. That's what I meant. Sorry.
And South County also, so we do have to work with other counties.
Understood. Okay.
So this is kind of as Eric said, kind of a loophole that has been.
Well, as a poor
through
choice of
years.
words, that's a poor choice of words by me, Dewey.
Okay.
It's not a loophole. It's legally, yeah, it's legal. It's illegal.
It's a benefit for the farmers because they own one property and they can't all be adjoining.
Right, because farmers own land, you know, townships away, like 4 townships away. Right. Yep.
And that becomes the homestead credit because they are established farmer and own part or all of that piece of property.
Right.
A mile down the road. Okay, thank you.
Up to 1.8 million, and then the mill rate changes after that.
Good, thank you.
Actually, the tax capacity rate, we don't have mill rates anymore.
Thank you for the correction, Carol. Sorry.
Yeah, we gave up on calculating by thousands. We go by hundreds, you know. It makes it a little easier.
Well, that's an old school term. Sorry, this dates me. That's all.
Can they call you back?
Okay. Just know how that works.
I make a motion we approve the abatements for Davison and Barton Heights.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, Hearing none, we'll vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next action item is the consideration of approval for purchase of a John Deere track loader from SEMA Equipment. Brian, you on?
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is what we are proposing is to replace our current John Deere 330E compact track loader with a newer upgraded model, the 333G. We looked at state bid, got quotes from Bobcat and SEMA Equipment for the new unit, plus or minus the trade-in value. On the quotes we received, John Deere was slightly lower than Bobcat, really close bids when the numbers came back in. John Deere's price is $32,857.12. This is one of the most, if not the most, used piece of equipment in our fleet. So we use this on the majority of our job sites. So it's crucial to have a good compact track loader out there in the field when we do our work. So, so my recommendation is to replace it. It is in the 2021 budget.
Right. It is in the budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
I make a motion we approve the purchase of this track loader from SEMA.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? We don't get bids much closer than this. Any other discussion? Otherwise, we will vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Brian, can I ask you, in that packet there, they talk about on this loader that the possibility of a 3-year trade-in. Is that, did we approve that here now too, or is this just a purchase, right?
This is just a purchase. I can come back in a year or 2 or 3. Yeah, so they did have in there where if we want to trade this in, essentially trade it in every year for $5,000 per year, we can come back and do that as long as we stay under 400 hours. More than 400, then there's an hourly rate as well. When you look at the cost of keeping it for 5, 6, 7 years versus trading it in every year, it's essentially there's very little price difference. The advantage of doing that would be you don't have the ongoing maintenance as the equipment gets older. You start replacing tracks, replacing components.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So there's a good chance here in a year, might be wise to come back and recommend to replace it at that time. But being that that's for a future year's replacement schedule, I figured we deal with that next year.
Okay.
You don't have to agree to it, but you can do it later into the ownership.
Yes, it's an offer that they provide to us that we agree come next winter if we want to act upon it.
How many hours do you put on that rig a year?
That 400 hours is a really close number to the number of hours that we use.
Okay. Just want a clarification on that.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Next action item, number 7, consideration approval of the 2021 Commissioner Committee assignments. Did you guys get the new statement? Okay, I got one that's a little different than yours, Eric.
It is.
I got that one too.
What's different on it?
Nothing. It's just it's across the page, and it's got just the names and the X's in the different boxes.
Yeah.
That one is for the commissioners, though, that particular one. It's not for planning commissioner, EDA, and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But isn't this consideration approval of the 2021 Commissioner Committee assignment?
Right.
Yeah, that'll come up. It'll just be updated there. That Excel sheet will be updated just for the commissioners for our reference.
Right.
They need the other 31-page one for records so that they know what the per diems are, etc.
Right.
So if there's any changes that you want to make, commissioners, now is the time you can go. Like, I think in the past, they've pretty much gone down the line and just said, do you want to continue to be on this committee? Yes, no, whatever, and go on and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So like, can we change that like $40 a meeting to 60? I mean, most township people get $60 a meeting. I don't know why we shouldn't get 60.
I think we gotta. I think we have to do that before now.
No, it goes with today's decision,
Okay.
but right now we're Zooming every meeting anyway. It's hard to raise your, I don't know.
I'm fine with the per diems where they're at, but
What do the rest think?
I don't use them anyway, so.
I know I haven't been faithful on recording all my highway committee meetings, but
And those are meetings you should be recording.
They take hours. I keep track of them, but I haven't been, my out of county ones, which is my workforce and EMS, I still put in the 40 because I've
right.
put it in my house.
Yep. And Carol caught me on that one too, and I said, well, I didn't know, so yeah, it's 40 instead of 65 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Carol keeps us on our toes.
Well, that's the main thing. So we're looking at the per diem payments is our discussion now, not committee assignments. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But why does the action item just call for 2021 commission or committee assignments? Doesn't talk about per diems.
Yep. That's just my
Well,
question.
I think it's because that was the name of the actual
that's
document. So I just kind of
Greg brought up the per diem thing. He just
yeah. But you can make any changes that you want at this time.
Yep.
Well, we leave the per diems as they are.
Actually, changing the per diems would probably have to be listed as an action item. It's listed on the front of the committee list so that you're aware of what they are, but that, since that wasn't specifically listed as an action item, I don't know that you could change that today. I think you'd have to put that specifically on the agenda.
But we can change the committee assignments.
Right.
Right.
So when we go down the committees.
Yep.
Community services, the standing committee on that would be Dewey and yourself, Eric.
Well, yeah, if you're saying Dewey takes everything Jack took but right.
Do we want to switch?
Well, I would like to switch from the community service standing committee to land use. I don't know if Bob or Teresa, you would like to switch with me on that, or that's the only change I want.
Heck, I'll switch with you. That's fine.
So we got Dewey and Bob for the community service one.
Right. And then go down below to land use. Where the heck is it?
Right underneath.
Next one down.
Next one in line.
And that would be Eric then?
Eric
Yep. Right.
So be Bob and I on the community services?
Yep.
I can handle that.
And Eric and Teresa on land use.
Okay.
Finance, that's Greg and myself. Are we okay leaving that? I'd like to stay on that one.
That's fine. Nope, that's fine. You guys do a good job.
What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I'll stay on there. I don't mind it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, what's what committee?
Finance.
Finance standing?
Yep.
Yeah.
My copy shows Jack on there, but that'll be Greg, okay?
Your copy is an older one.
This is that whole listed one that,
I see that. I think that's a mistake I made. I'm not sure, but anyway.
All right.
It was Greg and
Current personnel negotiating committee was Jack and Eric. So do you want to be on personnel?
Yeah, I can handle that.
Otherwise, I'd be glad to do it if Dewey doesn't.
Well, I think maybe Teresa should, and for the reason being, she has some experience where I'm coming in rusty, and some of the experiences with personnel would probably be better taken care of by Teresa.
Well, Dewey, we got to start sometime. I came in rusty too, so.
So if you want to, it's fine, you know.
No, I'll let Teresa take that if possible.
We'll pick you up on someplace along the line. The ADA Compliance Committee was Jack and Eric. I don't know, have you been doing a lot with that?
Meet, but yeah.
Not very often, hardly ever.
So that'll be Dewey.
I'll take that ADA.
Yep.
That's a compliance deal. Yep. Okay.
The Airport Commission is myself and Greg.
Is Greg an alternate on that, or was?
I think we both go to it.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll have to add him then.
I'll add Greg to that.
Okay.
Well, he's on there.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the other sheet.
Our canvassing board depends on who's had the training as far as.
Yep. That just stays open, and we fill that as we need.
Right.
Jack was on the child mortality review team.
And what does that do?
They don't really meet, but they're required by statute to have a child mortality review in case
That's a good one to be on for a greenhorn, Dewey.
yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently it's a reviewing of something that happens to a child. Is that?
Yes. Yes.
When there's commissioners, when there's a child mortality, Human Services gets involved, and Commissioner Walter is correct that it's a requirement, and there's a variety of processes that go into play. So
okay.
It doesn't meet frequently, but when it does, it's a pretty heavy commitment. So
okay. Yep.
Next one is
fortunately, it's not a common occurrence.
Hopefully not.
The CJC Safety Committee. I'm on that. We were fairly active because of the COVID business and, trying to set up the courthouse and get squared away on that. But I mean, if somebody else wants that, it's fine by me. Otherwise, I'll stay.
Can stay. Make a
consensus.
What else? Closure in emergency situations. I think
that usually goes to the chairman.
Yeah.
So Bob should take that.
Okay. Move that over. CJCC committee. That's myself and Teresa.
I thought I was an alternate. I think they don't need a commissioner.
But it's rare that meets. So.
I'm just curious what that CJCC committee is.
I don't know. They schedule meetings all the time, don't they? With the judge and the attorney and.
But isn't that the one up above, the CJC Safety Committee? Or no. I was just a little confused by what that one actually was, because it says the finance director is on that, and I've never gotten a notice of a meeting, and kind of, I don't know.
I get notice of them.
What do the letters stand for? Criminal justice something?
Yeah, you got to get that C off there. You can't be calling.
Yeah, it's County Justice Center.
Oh, is that what that stands for?
We can't say criminal.
No. It's not.
But then if the last C is committee, then why do we have CJCC committee?
I'm not sure what the letters stand for, but this is something I think that's customarily in many counties. And the intent is to try and coordinate things between your court system, the judge, the county attorney, the scheduling of court. Those are the types of things that are discussed at CJCC. I know I participate as well. Sometimes there are different things that we get involved in with regard to child protection court or child support court, those types of things. So it's just trying to coordinate those efforts and foster communication between players in the judicial system.
And they do include quite a few attorneys from around the county at that meeting.
Right, so they'll have some of the public defenders and things like that. So typically that's what CJCC has been. I apologize, I don't know for certain what the letters or the acronym stands for.
County Justice.
Well, let's leave it alone. Highway Committee, that was Jack and Eric. Do you want to be on the Highway Building Committee?
Sure.
Is that okay with you, Eric?
It's fine.
Parks Committee, that would be you, Dewey, and myself. That's Wildcat Park and the park down by Sheldon.
Botcher Park.
Botcher. That'll be a little bit of an interesting one because we're going to have a drawing on park usage down at Wildcat this year. So
A lottery type of thing, or kind of, is there's more requests than spaces? Is that kind of the
it'll be a lottery. We'll talk about it in the future.
I don't know if I want that.
We'll take you off if you want. I'll take you off if I have a volunteer to come up.
As well throw you into the fire. That's all.
Notice that nobody came running to the forefront with you, Bob. I guess I'll take it.
In September. So. Planning Commission, that's you, Eric, and Greg.
Yeah, I'm just the alternate, so.
On the, what are we on? Board of it? No, never mind.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. Okay. That right now is Greg, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Greg, are you on, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to stay on there, right?
Yeah, I'll stay on there, I guess.
Okay.
I got no problem.
On which one now?
Greg and Eric is alternate? Okay.
The Planning Commission.
Then on the District 9 Committee, Environmental and Natural Resources, that's you, Eric. Is that okay?
Yep.
I'm on Transportation.
I was going to suggest that Dewey go on the public safety because most of the commissioners that are part of that across the state are former law enforcement or related to that field more so than myself. If Dewey would take public safety, I could go to human services.
Okay with you? Okay.
I think you'd find it's very good committee. I really like it, but it's
No, that makes sense.
more up your line, I think.
Yep. And Greg would stay on general government.
Yep.
Okay. We're all on the delegate to the Assembly.
Yep.
Bear Creek, you want to stay on that, Greg?
Yeah, I suppose I haven't heard much out of them, but I'll stay on there.
Okay. Bluff Country, the Minnesota Multi-County Housing and Redevelopment Authority, that's you, Eric?
HRA, that meets 4 times a year. Yep, that's fine.
Board of Health, the joint powers between us. That's the one I'm chairman of, thankfully, this year.
Yes.
Community Health Services Delegate. Now that was Jack. So do you want that?
Sorry, which one are we on? I think
Okay.
I missed one. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, Community Health Services Delegate.
You know, I don't know if they ever, oh no, we don't have that CHS.
That's
advisory.
Shack, right? Yeah, they call it Shack.
So
Jack used to go to that.
Who was the one on page 11, Board of Health, joint board with Fillmore County?
That's
joint
everybody. That's everybody.
Oh, got it.
Yep, that's the whole board.
Sorry,
Okay, what-
thank you.
The CHS Advisory Committee, I don't believe meets anymore. They haven't for the last 4 years, I know. But
Which one you on now, Teresa?
on page 11, the CHS Advisory Committee, was a
Okay.
nursing task force, but I know I was on it, but we haven't met for 4 years. So I don't know if it was dissolved. It was a public health thing that Mary was kind of in charge of.
We have, we've continued to meet. I'm trying to think, I think Jack was on that.
Yeah, he was.
So it was.
Isn't the acronym SHAC? Isn't that what they call the SHAC?
This is different than SHAC.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The local thing. The advisory committee or advisory board was a requirement in statute when the county was doing home care. However, when the county got out of the home care business, we decided to continue doing that. And when you combined public health and human services, we felt that it was still valuable. So that advisory board does still meet. In fact, we're working with some of those advisory board members who are assisting in some of our vaccination efforts. And as I recall, I think it was Commissioner Miller who was a representative on that. And I think we're part of that, I think, when I first started, Commissioner Walter.
So we don't need a commissioner on that particular board.
You don't.
Listed.
There isn't a requirement, but I know Commissioner Miller did participate. It was also a group that we worked closely with as you were considering combining public health and human services.
Okay.
We're on page 11 still, correct? Advisory committee known as Nursing Task Force. Is that the one we're discussing?
Right.
Okay. Liaisons basically is what you need, is somebody to report back to the county board. Is that maybe what we're at?
That's kind of what it is, yes. And we have other commission or other community members.
Right.
So
yeah,
when it was a statutory requirement, there was also a requirement that each commissioner district had representation. And again, that was tied to the county being in the home care business.
Well,
we can leave Dewey on there just in case.
I agree.
I guess I'll just wait and see. I guess I'm not sure what just the liaisons to report back is what I'm getting out of it.
Okay, just so we're clear here, we're talking about the Community Health Services State Delegate, or is this something different?
No, that's the state delegate is the SHAC meeting.
Okay,
And
That's the next one.
That's already been determined at our last Fillmore joint meeting.
Yeah, okay, got it.
The one from Fillmore County. I know I'm the alternate for that, SHAC.
Right. But it's a Fillmore County person that's the primary.
It flips back and forth.
Yeah, so this year it would be somebody from our county.
No, we already said it last year. This is an old list. Last year it was Jack and Mitch was the alternate.
Right.
And then this year it has to be Fillmore County and we're the alternate.
Okay, all right. So who wants?
I know I was assigned the alternate at our last meeting in November, but I don't remember who is our primary.
I can't remember if that was Mitch. I'd have to look at our minutes. I can't.
We'll have to look at the minutes, but it is Fillmore County.
But you're right. It is Fillmore's year to be the primary on that SHAC, and then the other county is the alternate.
Yes. Okay. So that's already determined.
Right.
Okay.
The next one I've got is the EDA.
I'll stay on there.
You want to be on the EDA, Dewey?
Yeah, I could handle that because I was on chamber president down here.
Oh, you'd be good at that then. Wow, I don't know if you'd be good at it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm good at anything, but anyway,
that was a little bit.
I get carried away here.
We actually have our EDA meeting tomorrow, so if you can make it, great. I'll send you the details, and if not, you can just come to the next one.
I'll have to pass because I am on the road tomorrow.
Okay. I won't even send it to you this time around then.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
The next one is the Extension Committee. That's you, Eric, and Teresa.
Fine with that.
Yeah, I've learned a lot with that committee, and it's not controversial for the most part.
Here's a question. We added one to you on the personnel and took it away from Dewey. Did you want to stay on that or give it to Dewey?
Stay on the extension?
Yeah.
No, why don't you stay?
Yeah, I'll stay in extension.
Okay.
Family Services Collaborative, Governing Council. That's me.
That's you.
I'll
Only
stay.
because it's very convenient. It's held 4 o'clock in the afternoon up at the county.
Yep. I'll stay there.
Okay.
And then the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center Board, and Jack was on that and very involved. Do you want that, Dewey, or?
I see you're the alternate, Bob.
Yep.
If you took it and I was the alternate, I could start, just to kind of get a feel for it, make
That's
sure
fine.
that, because we're dealing with issues there quite a bit, don't you?
There's quite a bit there.
Yeah, I'll do an alternate.
Okay.
If you take the main.
I'll take it. Lacrosse County Solid Waste Policy Board. That's you, Teresa, and Jack was the alternate.
Did you skip something, Bob?
No.
Hiawatha Resource Conservation Development Area?
You're on that.
Oh, that's other people. Okay,
Yeah.
my error.
Okay, I gotta be flipping pages here.
Next one is solid waste, Lacrosse County.
I've been on it for 10 years. I can continue unless somebody else would like to get involved with it. That's the joint meeting with Lacrosse County, Wabasha. Yeah, there's quite a few counties. Most of them are Wisconsin counties, Viroqua, Vernon County, Crook County. I just represented our county.
Yep. And Jack was the alternate, so that'd make you the alternate, Dewey, unless you don't want to be.
I'll try that. That's up my alley there to see what goes on over there. I go through there every week, so I see what's going on out there.
One watershed, one plan. Eric is the main, and I'm the alternate.
I'll stay on there.
Good enough. Southeast Minnesota Emergency Management. That's you, Teresa.
And I've been on it for almost 10 years. I'll stay on it.
Okay. Southeast Minnesota Water Resources Board. That's you, Eric, and Greg.
Is that that's the one that's no longer.
That's true.
Yep, that's been disbanded, so we could just scratch that one.
Scratch.
What page is that on?
17.
And which one has been disbanded?
Southeast Minnesota Water Resources Board.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Yep.
Southeast Minnesota Regional Emergency Communications Board. That was Jack, and Teresa was the alternate.
I think that'd be a good one for Dewey.
Emergency Communication Board, okay.
Yep.
Yes. They work very closely with the sheriff department.
Okay.
And the next one is the South Board of Directors, Southeast Library Coalition. I'm on that, as well as, I think you were the alternate, right, Eric?
No, Teresa.
No, I thought you were the alternate on that one, weren't you? And Selco?
I listed.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yep. I thought, but you guys, when we negotiated with Selco on it was Teresa and Bob. That's why I was confused there.
I can be the alternate. It's no big thing.
That's fine. If you want to be alternate, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the SEMCAC, that's
Yeah,
you.
actually, Greg is on that one. Do you want to stay on that, Greg?
Yeah, I'll see on that one. That's okay.
Eric, you were the alternate for SEMCAC.
That's fine.
Let me get mine straightened away here. Okay. Southeast Minnesota Tourism Association. Do we do anything with them anymore? That was Jack.
I don't know. I don't think he did much.
No.
Well, I think the chambers of commerce aren't they taking care of that? And then the Crescent Chamber and Tourism covers the county. That maybe where's that?
I do go to some of the meetings too as the EDA director, but no commissioner has ever come. But if you want to, I can certainly forward the invite to someone.
Do you want to be on that?
I can be, I'll be available, I guess, if that's something I can, because I dealt with it with the Chamber of Commerce down here.
Yep, that's fine.
Then Severn Rivers, we're all on that.
Yeah.
Mark Trails, that was Jack and I was the alternate. Can I take that?
I'll be alternate to that, as that's the transportation thing, right?
Yep. Bike trails and the lake.
Okay.
All right. Township Officers Association.
I'd like to stay on that, even though we're not meeting right now.
And you, Eric, right?
Yep, that's fine.
Water planning. That's you, Eric, as well.
Yeah, and we're changing that to every other month now. It used to be every month, but some people got off on that wanted to have it every month, and now we're changing it after the first of the year to every other month, and I can stay on that.
Good.
Okay.
The last one on my list is workforce development. That was you, Teresa.
Yeah, I'll stay on that one since we work together with EMS on that one.
Okay.
Excuse me, commissioners. This is Donna. On the water planning committee, I was notified by, help me out, Eric. What's his name from the?
Oh yeah, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Wormugger.
Yep.
And he just informed me that Carlin Crubble was not interested in renewing his position, and Irvin Barth, of course, is not either. So at this time, those two fellows they won't have any positions yet for that. And it's my understanding that they pretty much take care of this themselves. But please note the L. Jacob, he moved out of the area.
Right.
And Dan Griffin would like to take his position that up until the expiration of 12/31/21, and he felt that should be a board, definitely a board motion to make Dan Griffin take his position, and that's the only change that I'm aware of.
And they're still looking for more too.
Yes, but Dan Griffin would like to take the position for Al Jacob.
Okay, we could bring that up next week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Is it up to us to find people?
No, it's up to them, but they notify us and want us, and he wanted the board to make the motion for it to accept.
Yep. Oh, that's fine.
To accept the applicants.
So since we have two things that we'll actually be voting on the work group session next week, which would be the newspaper and this, what is the requirement then? Do we need to post that, and for how long? I just want to make sure that.
I think it'll be just the newspaper, because that water planning isn't our decision.
No, shouldn't be.
But if it's going to be an action item that you guys are going to vote on, do we need to?
Yeah, Dan wants to make that an action item, Teresa, to
Vote him in.
vote Dan Griffin in.
Oh, okay. I thought it was up to that board.
Is that what? No. Did I misunderstand that, Donna?
No, he just said that he thought the board should approve it.
Now, which board are you talking about? The Board of Commissioners or the Board of Water Planning?
Board of Commissioners is what I thought. Yeah.
Well, let's get some verification on that.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll get in touch with him today.
Yeah, I could talk to him too, but
So does anyone on the call know what the rule is if we're gonna have an actual meeting and a quorum next week? What do we need to do to make sure
Yeah, it
the
has,
public is notified correctly?
it has to be notified. It's always, whenever the five of us get together, it has to be
but
noticed.
it was never put in the paper. It was always put on the website.
Website.
Yep.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be in the paper. It just has to be in the website.
And I can verify that too, Allison, for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Between the two of us.
I think it needs to be posted today. Because isn't it like 10 days or 3 days if it's an emergency?
It's 3 days was what I understood, but
I always thought it was 10 days.
yeah, it's for regular. Yeah, but emergencies you could always do 3. But
Yeah. Is this an emergency?
well, it would be considered emergency because something's come up that we need to act on.
Mm-hmm.
The paper maybe, because we do need an official newspaper, maybe. That's
Well,
why I'm asking, because if it needs to go up today, we need
well,
to.
the thing with the
have someone in charge of
newspaper,
that.
the thing with the newspaper is that we've already opened the bid. So what we've done is just tabled it. So I don't think we need to post that in the paper. We could just put it on the website.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I will check into it, okay?
Okay.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
fine. Now, did we decide workforce development? We did.
Yes,
didn't
I'm gonna do that.
we? Okay, now there's one.
I
Go
do
ahead.
want to add one other committee that came up last fall from Soil and Water. It's another water planning one, and it's with Winona, La Crescent area, that watershed. And I got on it because it's part of my district, but it should be an appointed position, same as the other one.
So when did you get on that, Teresa?
In November,
And who appointed that?
I got contacted by Jeff that they needed a commissioner to represent them. It hasn't officially started till January now, but they wanted some commissioner to represent Houston County before they started.
Okay, so we can make it official for now that
Exactly.
that you would be on that, and maybe Dewey be an alternate, or
Yeah,
It's the Winona County La Crescent watershed. Is that what started
Yeah.
it, Teresa?
it's called Winlac, but it's Winona County, La Crescent, but it includes, it goes all the way up to Wabasha. It includes that whole area as far as the watershed goes.
yeah, Pine Creek.
I agree, yeah.
Okay. Well, I
It's-
could be
it's-
alternate on it, yeah.
Yep. It's part of the one water, one shed plan.
Same
It's
thing.
just a different.
Yes.
It's a continuance of the Whitewater, and but yeah,
But by state statute, you have to have your own watershed.
and being you guys, it's in your area. You guys should be on that.
So if we need to add that to the list, can you send me the details of it? And then I'll add it to the list.
Teresa, can you send or maybe I can get a hold of, have Dave Walter just
Yeah.
resend it to you,
When
Allison?
I get the notice from them, I can forward it to Dewey and whoever, if he's my alternate.
Yep. Okay.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, after we've gone through everything, that puts Dewey on 14 committees, Eric's on 16 committees, I'm on 14 committees, Teresa's on 13 committees, and Greg is on 10. Anybody want to pass something over to Greg?
Well,
Greg, is there something you wanted to be on that?
Not.
Let's see. Well, I could maybe do that highway building.
okay.
On that one, if he wants to get rid of a couple.
All right. You're up close there, so
What page is that on?
it's 5.
Got a lot of stuff down there, but in present, I could maybe take that one off your hands. if you want.
Which one?
The highway building committee.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I got a question on that. Are you taking somebody's name off there then?
Yeah, removing me.
Oh, Dewey. Okay, thank you.
That way, Dewey, you can keep trucking. I just.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see here.
What's that?
How about that there joint board with Fillmore County on page 10?
That's all of us.
Oh, that is all. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next page. Gotcha.
Okay. So we're set?
Yes.
Now, can these, like, let's say throughout the year, things, perhaps we find we're more interested in something else, and is there a switchable possibly, or is this set in stone for a year?
It's set in stone for a year, but if there's a conflict of scheduling or whatever, I think we could look at that, can't we?
Okay. Yeah.
We've done that before with Selco. Remember, it didn't work for you, Eric, and Bob took it over, and
Yep.
you know, we've done that before.
Okay. All right.
They're just committees.
Good. Okay.
So do we need a motion to approve the committee assignments that we just went through? I believe.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the committee assignments as we just reviewed. Further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is the discussion items, board updates. Well, being that I'm the board chairman for the last hour and a half or so, I don't really have much. You got anything, Eric, as the prior chairman?
Top of my head. I mean, we can move on to the letter.
Letter from La Crescent.
I think we should draft a response to this letter and address some of their concerns and see if we can't work something out here for communication. And I know I see in Donna's email, she had it spelled out what her position or her requirements are. And I think we just need to have an open dialogue with the city of La Crescent so we're all on the same page and how this all works.
That was their main concern when I went to that meeting, was the communication.
Well, was there a drop of the ball someplace or whatever? Because I got my notices for the different properties, and I got it the day after the meeting, and that's can we blame the post office, or do we?
Well, that's the part of it. There is the post office is that's a couple more days now. It seems like sometimes
Exactly.
longer. Yeah.
So the company that we contract to send these, the information I got from Donna, maybe they should be more on top of it. Is that what? I guess that's the question: is where can we improve on this?
Well, commissioners, from my perspective, they were mailed on the 23rd of November. And I know the mail, I've heard a lot of comments about the mail lately. I know a lot of people did get them on Saturday, but you didn't get yours till Monday or till Tuesday?
Yep.
The next Tuesday? Wow. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that, to be quite honest. The mail, I know, has been a lot slower. I've heard a lot of comments. I guess I could contact the vendor and just, I know it's all first class and nothing has changed there. So, everything is still sent out the same exact way as it always has been.
Is there a possibility, Dewey or Teresa, that they could push back their meeting on that or not? I'm just asking.
Well, I guess the question is when I was on city council years ago, I don't know if it was statute or if it was by policy to have it at a certain time.
Okay.
I would hope that we can give the people an opportunity to discuss it with the city council and in a timely manner. So,
Yep.
And then how soon does the treasurer need to have the information of any changes so they can send out their tax bills on a timely manner in the spring?
Spring?
Yeah, the spring taxation bill, the bill that comes out, what's the kind of the deadline to start that process of sending the bills out?
Well, it kind of starts with, Cindy, you might want to chime in on that with your, the changes that you have to have made. We usually start the process beginning of March to get the file ready, but there's a lot to be done. I don't know, Cindy, do you want to share some of your challenges with the values and things like that and the transfers?
Well, in the spring, we need to have all of our values in, all of our homesteads updated. We have to have any new programs in. There's a lot we have to do, our new constructions, everything. It's the spring for us is the hardest point. We have our values certified on July 1st for the fall one, so that's not our issue. But the spring one is difficult. I don't know that we can bring the spring one up any sooner than we do, because we work with other counties with the cross counties and the social security numbers, duplicate numbers, and we're capped between now and March.
I think the issue in the letter from the Crescent was to do with this fall, this recent.
And the fall one, if I remember right, we have between November 11 and November 24th to have them out to the people. So maybe we need to move that one up. And maybe this year, with the elections and all, things got a little bit too much going on. But I don't think we've had this issue in the past. So I'm thinking it might be a lot of just not having the time to get everything done.
I like I say, I was looking at, I got my deal in front of me. I see the school district holds off until the 16th December. I guess what we could do is discuss it with, I could visit with the administrator and
Yep.
say, is there a possibility? Because I see we do ours December 8th, and I'm sure we don't want to have the audit or appraiser running all over a busy week or something like that. So maybe we could see if they could postpone it a few days or something.
The assessor doesn't even go to those meetings.
Okay.
In fall. Or in December, I mean.
No.
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, it's just a matter of the city moving their date up a week, if possible.
Back
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah, back a week.
I'll take that task and visit with the administrator when they open their doors, or go from there.
Yep.
That does not change the date that it's supposed to be out.
Right.
Correct.
That's a state
It's
statute.
to be out by such and such a date. If we send it out the 24th and the first date is the 25th, we're pushing the issue a little bit as far as that statute date is concerned. But when you read LaCrescent's letter, it's not only that. Item number 2 is a failure to correct estimated market values that were adjusted as part of the city's Board of Appeals process.
Right.
I think the corrections came. It just takes a little longer than what they think it should.
Well, that was more to do with that hotel thing, and that should have been corrected long ago. For some reason, that wasn't corrected. I know it was discussed quite often, quite a bit about it, even at the June meeting. But for some reason, when the statements went out, the other value was on there instead of the revised value from the city.
And if I can speak on that, the Crescent was all under one person, and she had a lot on her plate during the Crescent last year. and she also has some personal issues. It's not a wonder that something was overlooked. Unfortunately, it was that big one, but it didn't do any harm because they still will be taxed the same way in the spring. They'll be taxed correctly. Like I wrote a letter to Teresa, and because she had questions, and I didn't pass it on to everybody, but look, the person who did La Crescent is no longer here. They resigned, but because of health. But this person, when they were on, they were spot on. They were good. Health issues made things happen, and I can understand some oversights on their part. Am I able to go over 7 to 15,000 parcels and make sure everyone's correct? No, there's not enough time to do that in a day, plus everything else. We just had to.
So you submitted this letter to Teresa only? I never received this letter.
I sent one to Teresa because she asked me questions, and I just gave it back to her.
I didn't really ask questions. I just knew you hadn't received it, so I sent it to you.
And then I replied back to her. No one else had sent it to me or questioned anything to me, so I didn't correspond with anybody else. I can show you what I said to Teresa, but I did address every one of those issues with her. Another thing too, when they say that they'd like to have us work with them, Teresa, I do remember a time when you and Jack and I went and spent like 3 hours in their city hall talking with them a couple years ago. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We tried very hard to work with them. I think part of their issue right now is they want things to go back to the old way, which is I can't see that can happen. They want us to give them values in between meetings so they can discuss it, and I can't.
I think they originally wanted like that booklet that used to be handed out with the sales in it and what other that particular information and that we didn't do this year, or at least I never got one, but that's beside the point. That, and they had 40 some people that talked individually, and they didn't hear about the things, how it's going to be resolved, the list of people that wanted it resolved. They just, you had mentioned that they wanted to know the facts of how much they wanted changed, but really they wanted the names of the people for the next hearing of who was going to be coming back for information.
Well, they were
not the amounts that people were asking, but the list of names, and they never got that before the meeting.
Okay, I didn't understand that as that part, but I didn't know why they didn't keep their own list. I mean, they had a clerk there taking minutes.
Oh, that I don't know.
It should be their responsibility to keep track of the people complaining at their meeting.
Yeah.
Cities,
And they didn't do
that
that.
information is then forwarded to the county if the city makes an adjustment. If the city doesn't make an adjustment, those people that were there that didn't get something satisfactory to them, they come to the county. But the city should be keeping the record, not the county, not of the city's meeting.
Should be a step involved there. I agree with Bob there. It's their bailiwick, and then it moves on to us if there's an appeal. We're involved in the appeal process, not the initial process.
Right.
I'll see what we can resolve here by discussing with Bill here then, and talk with Mike perhaps too, but it just, now that I know when they were sent out and with the things as it was this past year, there's a lot of pitfalls that could have affected the delivery of these documents.
And maybe without an election this year, things can get done a day or so earlier and be sent out from the auditor's office as far as that end of it is concerned. As far as the spring meetings are concerned and the valuations, that might be a bit of a problem because we're short-handed in the assessor's office and first, we don't have an assessor from that perspective. So that's something we're going to have to deal with as well.
Okay.
So Dewey, you're gonna take that up and check into that.
I'll check into it there, I
As
guess.
long as somebody from the board is communicating with the city, that's all I think would be important
I
to
think
do.
so. And I can go with you, Dewey, if you want me to.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted, Teresa.
Okay.
Julie or anybody else, did you want me to send you a copy of the email I sent to Teresa? I can do that.
Sure.
Please.
All right.
That take care of the La Crescent letter and we can move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item on the discussion list is the board schedule changes. That's this one that we got with the schedule for 2021. Was there any changes that we wanted to make to that? I mean,
I couldn't see any conflicts unless someone else caught something. I don't know.
So basically, it's the second and fourth Tuesday is the board meetings and the committee meetings are
Workshops. Yep.
Workshops. And this is the first board meeting of January. So next week will be a workshop instead of being the second Tuesday. That was the only confusion I saw, but I answered my own question.
And there's one in December that's like this last December was a little confusing too because of AMC. So,
yep. Okay.
December's kind of important because we got to finalize our budget.
Right.
Yep. All right.
We're okay with that.
I think they usually set the TNT meeting date too on this schedule. Or was it last year?
It's in June, right? No.
No, that's the one.
That's the
It has to be held between.
December, right. That's
Yeah.
right.
This year.
When we just had that fun one, yeah. Well, we can.
We don't have to set that one now, though.
No.
Yeah, we could do that. We can do that as we go here.
Right, that's what I kind of said. And when we had to change it this year, Jeff said, well, it's on the schedule. Well, I think we have to change it because.
Right, yep. No, let's keep that open so we got flexibility there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Next item of discussion is the department head meeting. How often and commissioner rotation? What do you think?
Well, my thought on that is we got 2 workshops a month. We could split it up amongst the 2 workshops. I guess we have to decide on what days, but what are you guys' thought? I don't know, Bob and Greg want to work on that, or someone else on that to get that scheduled or worked out?
So are you suggesting we have department head meeting at a workshop? No. I lost the train of thought.
Yep.
So
Yes.
have all the department heads come to one of the workshops, one of the 2 workshops.
Split it up among. We wouldn't have to go through all of them in one day, one workshop. We could split it up amongst the 2 workshop meetings. So like one workshop we could do highway and law enforcement or the sheriff's department. The next workshop we could do human services and zoning or something like that. Split it up that way.
The department head meetings were an avenue for all the department heads, all of them, to get together. And so they worked together better with each other, knew what each other were doing.
Okay, all right.
And it was once a month, and 2 commissioners could go to it,
Okay, all right.
And it kind of, what did Carol use the word, silo, eliminate that silo where we just only think about our department. We don't know what other departments are doing. And it really was a good avenue for Brian would update everybody in what he's doing around the county, or Tess would bring up things related to human. It worked out really good to have everybody there.
That's fine. I'm just.
That's the past way we used to do it.
Okay.
And I think it's a good idea to get everybody together. So if there is a problem, let's say between the assessor and the auditor, or between the recorder and the treasurer, or whatever.
They can talk it out.
Instead of sitting individually. Tess, did you want to say something?
I just want to mention that I think they were very productive in many ways in that we would bring to the meetings issues or matters regarding our department that have potential impact on other departments and would share that information. It wasn't necessarily that we were giving an update on everything we were doing, but if there was something we were doing that might have particular relevance to any other department head, we'd bring that up and also discuss some of the challenges we may be having and try to wrestle those down between us. And I don't necessarily mean challenges between departments. It could be challenges just in a particular matter that our office or that a single office is working on. And what do you folks think? That type of thing. Historically, they used to be run by department heads. We would call our own meetings. We had a calendar. We would get together. If we couldn't make it, we would get an update from one of our other department heads. But that's, at least from my perspective, that's what I found as helpful information in them. And so, but I do think it's very helpful to have the whole group together, as many as possibly can make it, rather than just having I think that's different than having a report to the board, which maybe you'd want to report to the board by different departments during your workshop sessions. But I see these as having two total different purposes then.
I think the schedule, the land use meetings and the finance meeting, that kind of takes that where you have more like departments meeting, and then the commissioners actually update the whole that are there, update the entire board. We were having, Jeff was scheduling a weekly department head meeting, and I think they kind of lost their effectiveness a bit. We used to have them the once a month, and that seemed to really work out well. I think it was the first Tuesday at 1 o'clock or something like that.
So we could do that. We could do the second Tuesday during our workshop to do these department head meetings then.
Instead of 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. We could do it at 9 o'clock.
So that's all department heads together.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Once a month or one, you know, I was looking at how often, that was one of my questions. So I think the importance of it is that something may be going on in this department that could indirectly or maybe even directly affect another department. It's nice that they work together in making their plan. Monthly, is that too often? Or is that not enough? I guess how much changes in 30 days?
I think monthly is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second Tuesday, is there a committee meeting at 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'd have to find a different day then. Different one.
Okay, but that's the regular commissioners meeting.
Right,
So you're talking about at a work group?
Yes, I misspoke.
Okay, so it'd be like the first Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Right.
A half hour, no. Because work group sessions start at 9 and board meetings are going to continue at 9:30?
I think so.
Correct.
Okay.
So you don't think we should have a separate day to do this maybe, or you want to just have everything on workshop days? We could meet on a Monday and with all the department heads too. So, I mean, it's, how long a day do you want to make Tuesday?
Right, and do you want to have all of the commissioners there at each meeting, or the two kind of rotation like we did at one time? I guess that's all up to the commissioners.
We only had two commissioners assigned once a month, and it was usually the last Tuesday of the month at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Always went more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think Mondays are a good day. because we're kind of used to Mondays, and once a month would be great. And whether two or all are there, I don't know if it really matters, but because it is nice for everybody to kind of share what's going on. Once a month wouldn't be bad.
It would have to be two, because if it was all of us, then it would have to be a regularly scheduled
correct.
meeting.
Two, yeah, correct.
That's why I was bringing up the workshop session. So.
Oh, I see. Well, you could rotate.
Rotate. I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Rotate is, you mean doing as different commissioners every month, or what?
Well, I would say that, well, like you have the main commissioner do it with an alternate or second or whatever you call it, and then the next month that second moves up, and then another person comes slides in.
A rotation, then.
What I do is
there could be two at these meetings. So.
Yep, and then what I'm saying is that the person who is at January's meeting as the second in line, or whatever you want to call it, would become the first in line, and then somebody else would be at the February meeting, and the purpose of that would be continuity between January and February, I guess is what I'm just looking at.
Yep.
So you want to do, just a thought, you want to do the chairman in District 1, chairman District 2, chairman District 3, or do you want to do 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, 4 and 5, and just rotate that way?
I think like 1 and 2 for the first meeting, and then 2 and 3. Yeah, I can follow that. Make it easier than trying to throw up some other dates or whatever. We haven't decided what day of the week it's going to be yet, or whatever. But it sounds like the consensus is to shy away from that Tuesday
workshop
meeting because it's busy already.
That's fine. That's fine.
So who would schedule these meetings?
Actually, the department heads rotated being in charge of it. For, they just, did you go alphabetical, Carol? I don't remember.
Well, we have the department head calendar, and there was an agenda on there, and it would just rotate, number 1, number 2, number 3, based on the department number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we could put together a schedule, and maybe at next week's work group session, present that, and
that's a good idea. Yep.
See how you like that.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
So we're done with the department head meeting discussion. Moving on to commissioner reports. Apparently, Teresa, you are always the favorite first. So.
I didn't have any extra meetings over the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Dewey, you're new, so you don't have anything to report yet.
Not yet, just that concern from that one person about the vaccines earlier, but that's the extent of it so far, and a couple of comments about Wildcat, so I guess you and I will be having some fun on that, huh?
Yep. Eric, what do you got?
I don't have anything. I brought up the fact that we're changing the water planning meetings to twice to every other month, so that's the only other news that I had. So,
and Greg?
I talked to Teresa a little bit yesterday. There's some problems down at the recycling center, and they would like to talk to me and Teresa because we're on that special committee. So we're going to have to maybe get a meeting with them, Teresa, and I'll get a hold of you and see what the problem is.
Okay.
They didn't.
Which recycling center?
Would be the one in Houston where they do the aluminum cans and.
Oh, because all of them do, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of the main places in Houston, I think, right? If you want, or we can meet anywhere. It don't matter. I just thought that's where they work. We could drive down there and have a visit with them.
So Houston's having the problem. Houston recycling out of the 5.
Yeah, there's some problems that a couple guys might be quitting, and I don't know the whole story, so can't say much. I don't know a lot about it. Okay. We should probably meet with them, and I'll get that lined up, and we'll go down and visit with them and see what their problems are.
Okay.
All right, that's about all I got, I guess.
The only thing I'll report on is the one thing I'll apologize as the chairman when we do. from back in the day when I was on the city council, we had a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm in the habit of saying that, so it's going to take.
Yeah.
But with regard to the airport car, the convenience car, the Houston County Flyers have one, and I told you this before, but I did some checking. The insurance, whoever drives the car would be expected to put the gas back into it. As far as security, the lockbox combination is based on the number of our airport. All the airports have their own identification number. That's the ID number that the airports use to get the keys to get the car to take off and go. Talking to Sam, he's not in favor of the county involvement, in any way. And the Flyers would expect that, I mean, it's not for their benefit, but they could come out with a way to provide it. But insurance was $442 a year, and there's probably a little maintenance and whatnot. And how would you reimburse the cost of that without making the county liable for anything that might happen? And
it's not an easy answer.
No.
And I understand where Sam's coming from. It's a liability issue, and we know what happens in those situations. If we can
like he said,
make the county liable for something, they're going to do it.
They go after the deep pockets. So,
in my opinion, Bob, I understand how the convenience it would be. I really don't. I have a problem with the us getting involved in it as a county because of the liability concerns.
The only thing that confuses me is that most of the small airports around have a convenience car.
Well, and we've said this before. The city of Caledonia could do this, but they won't touch it either. So, I mean, that's who would benefit the most is the city of Caledonia, and maybe Spring Grove. I don't know. Depends on how far they go out in the county. But
well, I'll talk to the city and I'll say, Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, two things on the car. One is that if you do it, you can just have the lockbox be the number that's assigned to each airport and stuff. The other way you can do it is you can set up a random number that the only way that they get that combination is to physically call. You can take all the information so you know exactly who has that car and when. The second thing to say, though, is that the board can make a request to MCIT to have them work with the League of Minnesota Cities to see if they can do some type of coverage agreement through the League of Minnesota Cities. MCIT can't or won't provide coverage on their own. You can't find that coverage that will be done on the county side. The reason why the airports, majority of them have the courtesy car is that League of Minnesota Cities will cover that under their coverage for city airports, which is what the majority of the airports are. Some airports have an FBO, and the FBO provides the courtesy car, and they provide the insurance. Since we don't have an FBO, that takes that out of the equation. But that's one more avenue that the board can pursue on insurance coverage is requesting to have MCIT work with the League of Minnesota Cities. They may get an agreement worked out, they may not. There's such a small demand since there's only, I believe, 3, maybe 4 airports in the whole state that are owned and operated by the counties. And I think we're one of 2 that don't have an FBO. Maybe the only one without an FBO.
Well, I'll talk to the producer or test with regard to requesting MCIT and see what she thinks of that. Okay.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Yep. That was the only thing I was going to mention. Like everybody said, we haven't had too much in the way of meetings since our last one.
Whatever happened down with that Hoggerall house in the valley? Did they get that squared up?
Nope. Not yet. Still waiting to hear with regard to what the engineers came up with as far as diversion of the water runoff so that the elevation can be changed. I haven't heard anything. I'll check on that.
Closing public comment or what?
Okay, anybody, I don't see any telephone lines. Any closing public comment? 7154.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes,
We are adjourned.
guys all have a great day.
Yep.
You have a better one.
Thank you, everybody.
Good day.
Bye.